Good morning. Wanted to share with you a little bit about this coaching with depth methodology, how it originates, how does it prepare the coach or the guide or the mentor who's guiding others, whether the person is a leader or a supervisor or even a parent, coaching, guiding, or a coach, mentor, or a guide, how it prepares them, and what is the benefit it gives for the beneficiary or the coachee. I've been into the field of training, guiding people for the last 24 years. Been doing it informally, entered into more of formal guidance coaching, say about 10 years back. So for the last 10 years, most of you know I've been using a model of the 8 parts of the being, the inner development of the deeper self, the mind, the emotion, the energy, the body, and how do you bring it into the real-time work and family. So once the book got published, Integrate Depth of Your Being, I moved further into something that have been working along for the last 6-8 years. I was preparing a matrix. How these parts of being interface with each other. How does the mind interface with the emotion? Either enabling it or fighting with each other, like that. And parallelly, the desire to share, the methodology that I'm using to guiding and coaching others was also forming. So I put this together as a model, a methodology. The beauty of the model is it's extremely simple. The challenge of the model is it needs to be internalized and made it coming from the experience of the coach so that they can naturally guide others. So this is what the model does. First, it prepares the coach. A coach needs a guide, or a coach or a guide needs to be in the present moment, listening to the other person. This is the first most important and perhaps the most difficult thing as far as coaching is concerned. This methodology prepares the coach. So a coach cannot just come into a conversation, or a guide cannot just come into a conversation and then expect to be, in a very nourishing way, just like that. They have to live their life in a certain way. So this prepares the coach into the development of the 8 parts of being, into discovery of their core, their fundamental purpose, their core qualities, etc., and nourishes them. It also uses a very simple tool of the natural breath, done as you're coaching, done as you're living life, that helps them to be in the present moment. For example, once I was coaching somebody, a lady, very, very sharp she was. I was coaching her and she was listening so well to me. So I was like, this was somewhere in the mid of the day, and a thought went through my head. I'm hungry, and I had in my bag some nuts. So the second thought went, eat. The third thought went, no, not now. So all this happened in a brief few seconds, and I lost contact for those brief few seconds. I continued the conversation. Second time it happened, third time it happened, she just stopped mid-sentence. Both recognized that I was getting a bit distracted. So I told her what was happening, shared the nuts with her. I ate, back to the coaching conversation. So one of the prerequisites to be a good coach or guide is be in the present moment. Noise in the head is less. Your own belief structures are relaxed. You're tuning in into the core of the other person. The core of the other person is your divine in that moment, is what you're serving in that moment. What is the core? Their purpose, their core qualities, who they really are. So you're serving that. So you've got to listen to that, tune into that. When you tune into that, you can offer that clarity to the beneficiary. Say, hey, seems to be emerging, what do you think? And guide them, etc., etc. So the metrics that I prepared is called the Inner Evolution Matrix. In the book, all these become tools. The coach helps the beneficiary to craft inner practices. The metrics has 64 inner practices that help them to develop their being, the inner strengths, help them to discover their purpose, core values, and bring that up. That's why it's called coaching with depth. So this is the first component of the depth. The second component of the depth is at work. So when we are working, we talk about competencies, roles, etc. But if you look at olden times, people were masters in whatever job that they took because they did it repeatedly and there was a certain sadhana of it. They connect to the pulse of the work. The pulse of work, speaks to them. Some quality of them gets ingrained into that work and it shines. So the second part of this methodology is the coach helps the other person to really connect to their work, to really go to the depth of it, to feel the pulse, whether it's a role or the work, and really be on a path of ongoing mastery. In today's world, we keep shifting our roles and even our career a little bit here and there. But still, we can go for depth, and when you go for depth in the work or the role, there is a certain sweetness. Now, that sweetness or a mastery of doing that role or the work, when it combines with my own inner being qualities and purpose, you get a marriage. So, this is the second part of the depth. This is what we basically teach. As we go forward, so now we're trying to do a one-day workshop. People come, we share everything in the one day, the entire model. They get a taste, and if they want, we're slowly getting into level 1, level 2, level 3 of 6 months so that I can share, so that this methodology can touch the world and people can take it and keep moving on. What I shared we do between level 1 and level 2. Level 3 is practically becoming a OD expert or a culture change expert, organizational development change. It's not just working on oneself or the teams, but developing the organization in its core, which is its core purpose, its core values, its uniqueness, etc. It's also in a family or a society becoming a culture change expert. So at the third level, we train people to be able to, in the same way like you do for the individual, identify the core of a collective, the culture of a collective, the purpose, values, something inner of the collective, and learn how to serve it. To serve it, the individual and collective has to bridge. The core of the individual, the core of the collective has to bridge. It's not theoretical at all. It's actually very simple. But the art is spotting. So in this, the coach has to first learn to spot. And the coach has to train the beneficiary to spot individually, team-wise, and collectively what is the core, which means the purpose, values, inner strengths, etc. How do you develop the inner strengths? And how do you bring it out in terms of the manifestation of the vision, purpose, goals, etc. That is the third level of depth at the collective. Coaching with depth prepares the coach to be able to guide beneficiaries to hit depth with themselves, the inner being, with their role, mastery, work, etc., and also to contribute to the collective. So this is what I think is in a nutshell about coaching with depth. We keep doing these workshops right now in Chennai. We do it in a way that people can come from all over India. It's from 9 to 6. So first I thought I'll travel, then I thought do it here once in 2 months. Whoever is really interested, this is a one day, please come and go. It's a one-day workshop. We keep sharing the date of the workshop at our website, peoplefirst.co.in/events. The next one is on October 12, 2019. Once you do the one day and if you resonate, there are several ways where we are training people on level 1, level 2, level 3. Thank you for listening. I hope to touch as many of you as I can and share this methodology. And I learn back. Whatever I share, you all teach me something, I learn back, I bring it into the model and take it to more people. With that, thank you for listening.